cannabinoids and health.
Cannabinoids.
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 Why am I having trouble saying that?
Cannabinoids.
Jeez.
Cannabinoids.
What a gift.
Flame on if you can. You're looking for that dope weed. Fire it up. Flame on if you can. You're looking for that dope weed. Bully boy's the man. Flame on if you can. You're looking for that dope weed.
Welcome back, everybody. Time for us to go behind the headlines, and we also want to say hi to our friend Ponyboy in the chat room. That's a little bumper from Ponyboy that we play quite a bit here. But I wanted to talk to you about this breaking news that came out over the weekend, and it just kind of got buried over the Labor Day weekend. But this is pretty amazing. I've written it up for hightimes.com in an article called Big Brother Watching Even More Than We Thought. And if you'll remember, we previously reported to you about the spying that was revealed between the NSA and the DEA, where basically the NSA, that's your national security agency. And they're charged at the federal level with protecting us from international threats, namely terrorism. You know, other countries spying and a bunch of other stuff, but mostly terrorism. And we granted them all sorts of new powers to spy through the Patriot Act. And with the Patriot Act, they have been, in fact, most of your Patriot Act subpoenas and warrants and all these things have overwhelmingly gone toward drug cases. Very few of them actually went toward terrorism cases. And so we've kind of known about that, and recently it was revealed that the NSA and the DEA were involved in swapping information pretty regularly and covering it up through a process known as parallel construction. This is where they eliminate all trace. Think of it as, money laundering for the evidence trail. Okay, they launder the evidence trail to make sure that you think it was just the local cop who saw your burnout taillight instead of the DEA getting information from the NSA off of a wiretap that happened to, specify that it was your car they should be looking for. So that was already the level of spying we knew about. And under these Patriot Act and the NSA and all of this, the NSA has some limits as to how much data it can gather, how it can gather it, and how long it can keep it. Namely, what they've been going after lately is what they call phone metadata. And I know this gets complex for people, so I just wanted to break this down. Metadata is not the actual content of the phone call. It's not listening to you and me talking to each other, but it's what time was the call, who placed the call, what routes did it go through, if it was a cell phone, what was the towers it went through, and so on. How long was the call? And we'd learned also that the NSA had been investigating 3 hops deep into this. Now, this is like that 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon game, where if you pick this actor and then he was in a movie with this actor, who was in a movie with that actor, who's in a movie with Kevin Bacon, that's like 3 steps, right? So the NSA had been investigating phone records 3 hops deep. That means if I called you, they would investigate you, and then all the people you called, and then all the people they called, right? And this would, you'd be rounding up millions of people's worth of information when you start to expand this in a tree of who's calling whom. And so this invites all sorts of Fourth Amendment prosecutorial problems, constitutional problems with our right to be free from unreasonable search and seizure. It's not reasonable to seize the records of 1 million people to go after one. Well, that was small potatoes, people. Check this out. This new Hemisphere program that we heard about, there is a PowerPoint presentation, and in my article on hightimes.com, you can click on a link that will take you to the actual presentation, where it talks about how this program called Hemisphere works directly with AT&T, the global communications giant, and they have access to trillions of records, trillions of phone records, 4 billion call data records per day added to this database. And this program has records going back to 1987. So where the NSA is prohibited by the Patriot Act and other laws from keeping their records any longer than 5 years, AT&T's got it going back to my sophomore year in college, for God's sake. Back to 1987. On average, they're tracing 5 numbers a day. And their excuse for this is that, in the age now of cell phones and these burner phones, we'll be tracking a drug dealer, and then he'll get rid of his phone and get another phone. So we've got to find out all the people that he called, what numbers are they calling now, so that we can round up what the new number is for the guy, yada, yada, yada. There's always an excuse. And Unlike the NSA, when they're collecting the metadata at the National Security Agency, they don't have the location of the callers. In the case of AT&T, they do. So they're even getting more information out of AT&T than they've got in their own government databases. And furthermore, the AT&T information isn't just the people who are using AT&T phones or subscribe to AT&T. It's any call that's gone through the AT&T network. You could be a Verizon caller. You could be working on an old rotary phone, but if it went through some switch or some tower belonging to AT&T, that data is now available pretty much carte blanche to the DEA, which only has to issue an administrative subpoena. An administrative subpoena is just paperwork, folks, does not require the sign-off of a judge, does not require review by a jury or any sort of court. It's an administrative subpoena to get as much information as they want. But that's not even how far this goes. The federal government has been paying AT&T the equivalent of 4 people's full-time salaries to have AT&T employees embedded at the DEA offices in Atlanta, Houston, and Los Angeles. That's right. Federal government has paid AT&T salaries. That's basically AT&T is putting their own people to work alongside the DEA to streamline the process, they say, to make it simpler for the DEA to get the information they need. And yet, throughout this PowerPoint presentation, they indicate how Hemisphere can be walled off, how they can use parallel construction to hide its very existence, and that no one involved with it should ever mention it at all in any official briefings or documents. This needs to be reviewed by the courts. This needs to be reviewed by the Congress. It's not even a classified program, folks. There's nobody broke any laws leaking this. But they really wanted to keep it secret.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he